The Rise of the Ogre, Episode 2, read by Joss Ackland. 12D3. In the suburbs, they're spooked.
Yeah, I was more into films than music back then.
2D remembers?
Like, Meantime, Scum, Made in Britain. You know what I mean? Plus I was a big fan of zombie flicks too. Like, I loved Dawn of the Dead and Evil Dead and Zombie Flesh Eaters. I was well into Lucio Fulci, the godfather of gore. I really loved his film Zombie and The Gates of Hell too, you know. It was really, really scary. And George Romero's stuff was brilliant. I like Cronenberg's Rabid and The Brood. Abel Ferrara's Driller Killer was another really cool film. The Exorcist and Texas Chainsaw Massacre are both great. Well scary. Oh, and Cannibal Massacre too. But Dawn of the Dead is still probably my favourite. I don't know what it is, but it's just something about zombies. They just really creep me out. You know the way they move really slowly, but they always seem to get you in the end? Really freaks me out. But that's why I watch them, I guess. Yeah.
Stu Pott, or Stuart Pott to give him his full name, was born on the 23rd of May 1978, the son of David and Rachel Pott. The Potts lived in a normal, comfortable family home in Crawley, Newtown, or Crawlea, meaning crow-infested clearing, as the original Saxon settlers named it. Stuart was a polite, well-mannered boy with little to say for himself. Less charitable people could possibly describe the young Stu Pott as maybe a bit thick. His upbringing, like Stuart himself, was mainly unremarkable and uneventful, other than the fact that both he and Murdoch were horses in the Chinese horoscope. They couldn't have come from more separated stock.
I know there's a rumour going round that my real name is Stuart Tusspot or something, but that's not true. It's Pott. Stuart Pott. Ha!
Actually, comments his father, my name was originally Tusspot, but having endured a lifetime of ridicule, I thought around the time of Stuart's birth that I would shorten it to Pott. But deep down, both myself and Stu are still Tusspots. Also, despite what Stu Pott says, music alongside films had always played a large part in his life. David and Rachel Pott both recall Stuart as an excitable 10-year-old, jumping around his bedroom to noisy backdrop of The Jam, The Specials, The Clash, Wire and Buzzcocks. Earlier compilation tapes reveal he was also a fan of Jason Donovan, Five Star, Shack Attack, and Stu's favourite artists, The Human League. He was also quite a keen melodica player, crafting simple but memorable melodies on his Hohner instrument in the style of his idol Augustus Pablo. When Stuart was 11 years old, he fell out of a tree, landing on his head, causing a complete and total loss of bodily hair. When it finally grew back, the natural colour was now a vibrant azure blue.
What?
Murdoch asks.
Collars and cuffs?
2D looks down awkwardly, scratching his head. His father David was a mechanic and all-round electronic tinkerer for fairground rides. Stuart's mother was a big-breasted nurse, and it was her who secured the endless supply of painkillers for the terrible migraines that Stuart suffered from. These attacks only got worse after the accident that was to fling Stuart and Murdoch's life together so forcefully in later years. Stuart Pott went to St. Wilfrid's School. Coincidentally, the same school that had educated the members of Spider-based indie gothfather group The Cure, where, despite a marked lack of ambition and apparent limited intellect, Stuart was able to achieve fairly good grades.
Well, you know what they say.
He reflects.
Little knowledge is a wonderful thing. Yeah. I hadn't really thought about what I wanted to do after school, though. I never really thought about anything as far as I can remember. I went for a period where I wanted to be a storm chaser and record loads of videos off the TV of like tornadoes and stuff. I like messing about with keyboards and bits of electronics. My dad used to help me customise bits of instruments so that I could make like new keyboard sounds and stuff. We used stylophones, Moogs, old drum machines, anything electronic that made a noise really. I had this Casio VL tone that I thought was well crucial, right? I was just in the playing around, making bloopy noises, being a bit spacey. I was a bit into painting too, messing around with graffiti and stuff, you know. At one point, I guess I wanted to be a vandal like that bloke Banksy. I only got the Saturday job so I could raise enough to get the Euro 96 Abutio set. It had all the Euro 96 balls, fences and players and a cool looking box, which was a bit like the USA 94 set box, which itself was the Italian 90 box. Except they...
Meanwhile, back in Stoke, Murdoch had fallen in with many a shady individual, assembling a gang of villainous scoundrels and cronies, all sods to a man. Tired of the endless monotony of dead-end jobs and hopeless rehearsals, he decided to crank up the crime and put his master plan into action. August the 15th, 1997. D-Day.
New gear, new singer, new band. That's what I needed.
Murdoch recalls.
I had a bunch of great songs and demos, and I knew they could tear the charts apart. But I also knew that any song is only as good as the outfit playing them. So I set about assembling a killer band. They had to be the best or no dice. So I decided to put it together the easy way. Ram raid the shop, hijack the gear, smash our way into the charts. Grab the chicks and slay the dragon. Get it?
So it was while Stu was working as a Saturday boy at Uncle Norm's organ emporium, his and Murdoch's world collided. Top speed, in a very real way. Murdoch continued.
Me and my gang of snaggletooth hardnuts decided that was enough. What we'd do is nick a car, burn it around town, build up a bit of speed, and then launch it right through the music shop window, ram raid styley. Yeah? We could smash some stuff up, get all the latest equipment free, and have a laugh doing it. Yeah. The fact that the car landed on 2D's face, well, the way I see it, that was just a bonus.
I remember the day quite clearly, actually. I was standing behind the counter, staring into space. I'd probably been in the position for 3 hours or so, just standing there.
Like,
thought Murdoch,
some kind of moron.
Murdoch comes smashing through the wall of the building in his Vauxhall Astra, which lands bumper first on the side of my head.
Happy days. That's when your eye came out, wasn't it?
Yeah, the first one, it didn't come out. It was pushed inward, fractured. God, that did hurt.
By driving a stolen Vauxhall Astra through the building and directly into Stewpot, Murdoch had permanently damaged Stewpot's left eye, also putting him into a deep catatonic state. Murdoch.
You were just a vegetable instantly. If I hadn't been laughing so much, I probably would have heard the cops pulling up outside.
Murdoch was arrested and sentenced to 30,000 hours of community service, plus 10 hours every week of caring for the vegetabilized Stewpot.
God bless the British justice system, eh? Unbelievable. They put me in charge of you. It was a bit of a drag, but we used to have a lot of fun during those sessions. You wouldn't remember that, though. You were just a comatose plank, really. Actually, now I think about it, it was like looking after a bag of cement.
Murdoch's care in the community service usually involved as much mistreatment of the deaf, dumb and blind Stuart Pott as Murdoch could squeeze into his appointed time slot. Kicking, slapping, punching, dragging, dunking, catapulting. Nothing seemed to affect the catatonic kid. Until one incident went a little bit too far.
We were in a car park in Nottingham. And I was pulling a whole load of very snazzy 360-degree donuts. I had a proper burn on. I was getting some good smoke off the tyres. The girls that were standing around, they were really impressed. So, I just thought I'd take it up a notch. Yeah. Took my foot off the brake and went for a grand finale. I was probably hitting about 90 when 2D got catapulted through the windscreen. He flew about 500 yards, landing face first on a curb. Whoops.
Really?
Queries 2D.
Yeah, that's when your second eye went, yeah. But you flew through the windscreen at about 70 miles an hour, landing on your head once more, and you skidded on your face for about half a mile, but you know what? When you came round, my God!
The impact of the accident had revived Stewpot from his state of paralysis, and in doing so gave us one of the greatest frontmen the world has ever seen.
He stood up, really slowly.
Murdoch remembers.
His back was still towards me, and really slowly turned around like one of the zombies in those films he watches. And there were no eyes, just two black holes, a vacant stare. Oh, it looked great. A blue-haired, black-eyed god. The girls would go wild. I knew I had it, but you were still a bit mental. But I had my front man. Despite the mess and the fact that half your face was hanging off, I could see that the girls would go crazy for his pretty boy looks. So I made him the Gorillaz singer. Yeah.
How could you not? There he stood before Murdoch, love's young deity, whippet thin, spiky, deathly white pallor, black hole eyes, awkward and angular, like a speed-ridden corpse with grade 8 keyboard skills. Perfect. Murdoch recruited the newly revived, albeit still mentally defective, Stewpot as the keyboardist and vocalist for his group, renaming him 2D in honor of the 2 dents that he now sported in his head, scars left by the twin Murdoch-induced car accidents. Now he needed a drummer, the backbone of any great outfit. Next stop, Soho. Extracted from The Rise of the Ogre by Gorillaz, published by Penguin Books.